Hey folks, welcome back. We are recording a recap for the second half of day one. A little bit late, but nonetheless, we are making it happen. So, great start to the day yesterday. You might have seen an interview with the Otwell kids. They were here. That was really fun to see them again. They've gotten so much bigger since the last time I saw them.
Who would have known? I haven't seen them for 6 years,
Yeah,
and so they're like
small adults now.
small adults.
Yeah,
It's
super
crazy.
fun. So that
Shout
was
out
that was
to
cool.
James and Victoria.
Absolutely, yeah. So we picked up the second half of the day starting with Chris Morrell. So he was talking about, I wrote it down as eloquent design patterns, which is not what it was.
No.
Basically, what he was talking was about was these custom relationships that you can build inside of your application. Really, really good stuff. I would definitely, it was technical. It was highly technical, but
Yes.
the gist of it was that you are not limited to just has one, has many. He, in fact, came up with a has letters and a has near.
Yeah.
So it was really, really, it was good.
Yeah, it was cool also to see, being able to take, because we've all done this, storing a comma separated list
Yeah.
in the database
We've
and
all
then
done this.
splitting that out and creating real relations with Eloquent. So check out that talk. There's definitely a lot of power under the hood that you've got access to with Eloquent.
Absolutely. The next one was John Drexler, and that dude's a sleeper, right? Like, I knew it wasn't going to be a technical talk. I knew it was going to be like more of a philosophical sort of talk, a soft talk, if you will. But in the top of my notes, I wrote rewatch this talk
Yes,
because it was
100%.
so good. So tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, all of those sorts of talks where it's someone that's on the periphery of development of the technical, telling us developers how we can be better developers by engaging with product, with business, with customers, just having that know-how, it smooths out the whole development process for everyone.
Agreed. And he said one of the things that he said was your biggest problems aren't technical, right? A low trust environment is actually your largest hurdle. And so he gave, the bad news is you don't get high trust environments for free. The good news is there are things you can do right now to help solve that problem, right? And so he gave a couple like common problems that we see, especially if you're, in a situation like John's and he's dealing with new customers all the time. So he has to figure out how to go from zero to high trust as quickly as possible. Yeah. And so really things that we can take away as agencies, if that's the situation we're in, or even if we have internal teams that we're working with, what are some things we can do to make sure we're not misaligned or we don't have bad communication? Really, really solid stuff. And I wrote down too, some of the things were hard to capture in text. He had some really good illustrations. He said, I'm a visual guy,
Yes.
And so some of the illustrations were excellent, really helpful in kind of understanding what it was that he was describing. Okay. That being said, the biggest piece that everyone was waiting for was the Laravel keynote.
Yes.
So, absolutely incredible. Taylor started us off with open source, talking about just some of the things that they've been working on over the last 8 weeks. So, like the routes file thing that Taylor always does.
Yeah, he joked about it. His initial version of the keynote was that there was going to be no routes file, which for those of you who have been around, who have been to a Laracon, who have seen the videos, that's how Taylor demonstrates
Every time.
He
Yeah.
opens up his web.php file and he just scrolls through and
Uncomments and then
uncommented
new route.
goes. So I think this part of his presentation has evolved a little bit over the years, especially as Laravel has kind of elongated its release cycles. So it's not waiting for big new features. Laravel tries to get things into the framework in a backwards compatible way. And so this was more of a recap at a high level of the things that, as you say, in the last 8 weeks have been pulled into the framework, which once upon a time were big, 6 monthly releases.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's what we were all here to see was, and yeah, right. They would sort of hold it all together and then release it all at one time. And so that was the big thing we were here to see. But because they are trickling some of these things out, the update that Joe Tannenbaum gave right after him was again sort of like we released a early version of this, which I'm talking about Wayfinder specifically, and then it was here are all these new things that we're bringing to Wayfinder that make it even more functional. So I was talking with you yesterday right after the show, and a couple other people. I was like, "What's the highlight?" And a lot of people mentioned Wayfinder.
Yeah, even my friend Aaron, who's in the room with us over here,
Yeah.
I think. But as someone who doesn't write a lot of JavaScript, seeing that kind of stuff, seeing what the tooling is, I think the like quote unquote argument of type safety and all of that kind of stuff is lost a little bit when it comes to the developer experience. And I think really the power of that kind of functionality with the end-to-end types and all of that support is the fact that you can't make typos, is that you've got the completion to make sure that like if things change, that you have this tooling now that will just make sure that everything filters through from the back end all the way to the front end. And so as someone who doesn't write a lot of JavaScript, seeing that and knowing that there is a huge portion of the community that knows that that's going to be a welcome change.
Yeah, and for those of you who have not used Wayfinder before, have not seen it, if you've ever used the Ziggy package, where essentially its idea was you can use named routes in your front end, which was hugely powerful and just a brand new thing at the time. Really, really great. We've used Ziggy. Wayfinder is essentially a first-party package that allows you to do that, but in addition, it allows you to do quite a bit more, right? So some of the things that they talked about yesterday was Ranger is this new addition, which will look through your application and it will take items that are of interest, and then it will serialize them to like DTOs, and then you can make those into TypeScript objects that you can use on the front end. So we're talking about routes. We're talking about like form requests, broadcast channels. So a lot of things that will come from the back end and are used in the front end now, or are available for you to use in the front end. And then Joe said yesterday a couple of times, I love a good squiggle, right? And so he's basically saying like, there are things that change in your back end and your front end should be able to reflect or know about those changes. And now they do immediately. He never ran like a new step. It was just immediately available.
Yeah, and the red squigglies, you don't get that when you're using magic strings. The route helper is fantastic, but Joe, last year announced with all of the Laravel, the VS Code extension, all of these things that we take away the margin of error where you make a typo in those things. So this is pushing that even further. So shout out to Joe and the team there.
Absolutely. We talked about Laravel Boost next. What his first name is Ashley. Do you remember his last name?
Hindle.
Ashley Hindle. Thank you. I forgot to write it down. Ashley Hindle talked about all the things that the Laravel team has been working on to really make coding with AI a pleasant and feel like a first-party experience, right? We've all been using these tools for a while, whether it's you're just typing questions into ChatGPT and then copying and pasting, or whether you're using something like Cursor to do your coding, or I think Junie is the one for PHP Storm now. How do we utilize those tools in an effective way that allows us to use Laravel conventions and all of those things? It was really incredible. All the things, I feel like I haven't heard anything about this, and then it just sort of came onto the scene.
Yeah. So I know that Ashley had been experimenting with this stuff, doing crazy things in the terminal, as lots of people seem to be doing in the last 12 months. But he's been at Laravel for 4 weeks. I think I was talking to him.
Oh my gosh,
so he's
seriously?
been there 4 weeks.
Didn't realize
Two
that.
of those weeks he was on vacation. So the fact that all of this has come out, I know that Peter Soom, who works over at Tailwind Labs, was involved in the project a little bit as well to get the MCP server up and running. We've got the MCP server coming in Laravel Herd in the next little while. So and just really unlocking those tools to make sure that they're not hallucinating, that they're not making things up, that they are actually relevant and accurate for us as Laravel developers building with those tools. So it's really cool to see that kind of stuff coming out.
Yeah, so as a sort of a little bit of a little bit deeper dive, we're not going to go too deep here because we've got a lot more stuff to cover, but Boost essentially provides a Laravel-specific MCP server, as well as a bunch of tools that are available. One of the things that he did was really neat, is he intentionally caused an error and then said, I'm getting a white screen of death here. What do I need to do? And it started analyzing browser logs and the logs made from Laravel as well, and then it made some suggestions based on those, which just really incredible stuff, things that you would have to wire up yourself that you honestly don't have to wire up anymore, which is really, really cool. There's also vectorized Laravel documentation for all versions of Laravel, as well as any first-party packages. And they talked about, how like it used to be that every time you loaded in a package, you'd have to load in the service provider as well. And now they have that extra thing in the Composer, so it'll just automatically do that. They are saying that they're also going to provide documentation for package authors to provide their own vectorizations or a way to instruct LLMs on how to use their package.
And exposing that via local APIs for Boost. So things like Inertia, Livewire, Pest were the 3 main ones that they mentioned, but they're providing the hooks for other third-party, Sparsy's got 150,000 packages out there. So they'll be able to vectorize their documentation as well.
Exactly. So creating guidelines for the LLMs, just a really comprehensive suite of tools, and it'll be available in 2 weeks. So it's just simple as Composer Require and then Artisan Boost install. So Ashley and the team there did a really great job. Then we went into sort of product updates. We did Nightwatch updates, Forge updates, and Laravel Cloud updates. So we're going to run through those quick. We're going to hit our time limit here, but let's look at Nightwatch. So Nightwatch it's only been released 6 weeks ago? I mean, it's not even been out that long. June, biggest takeaways for you? I know what it is.
Yeah, we've got a Sydney region coming. So for those Australians out there that have been waiting for Sydney region, that's coming later this year. what do they call it? Day shift.
Yes.
Shout out to Jess, your favorite, Jess Archer.
Jess Archer.
For the sunglasses lady, like I heard that was her idea, so shout out to Jess.
That's great. Yes.
But yeah, just incredible work from the whole APAC team. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased towards
Sure.
my APAC
Of course.
team.
Of course.
My APAC team.
That's right.
They've grown to like 12 people over the last 12 months. So it's just incredible the thought and detail that has gone into Nightwatch and the expansion of that and everything that they're doing. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing
Processing billions of events already.
Billions, it's just unfathomable. And all of the updates to, everyone gets 50% more.
That's right.
Events.
Yes.
The cost of extra events is coming down. So really making it accessible to as many people as possible to make sure that your Laravel applications are working and, you're not getting filtered out or having to, add extra events because some event happened. So yeah, just a lot of stuff going on there.
Exciting. And it's obviously of the product updates they gave, regardless of how you're deploying your servers, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're not using Envoy or Cloud or Forge, Nightwatch is something you can integrate into all of your products, like immediately, right? It's available now. It's a really quick install and it just hooks in without any fuss, really. It's just immediately there for you. Okay. The one I was really excited about was the Forge updates. So James Brooks came on stage and he has led the team there and has done a really, really good job. Anything off the top of your head that you were excited about on those ones?
Sydney region.
Sydney region.
No, that's Cloud.
That might be
Forge.
Cloud.
All right. Just like the whole revamp, getting a little bit of symmetry between Forge and Cloud. Both of those products exist for, ultimately similar purposes, but for different demographics of applications. So the fact that there will be people that are going to be using both of them for different purposes, having a lot of alignment in terms of the UI, the interaction, the user experience really makes things nice for people that are using it. It's also really cool to see like some of the features that have come out, making everything much more contextual. The command palette.
Yes, exactly.
I was talking to David Hill, the head of design, yesterday, and the tag team terminal stuff.
Oh yes,
that was part of their hackathon. They built that over the weekend.
That's incredible.
They're like, what if we did this? And they're like, what if we could have like a shared paired session? So yeah, there is a lot of stuff going in there. I'm very excited by just the direction. For anyone who thought that Forge is not getting the love,
it absolutely is.
James is actually coming to Australia in November to talk about a little bit more in depth of the technical side of things of what went into that as well. So come to Laracon Australia or watch those videos as well for more detail. Absolutely.
We've been using Envoy for a long time to kind of handle the zero downtime deployments. Having that available immediately in Forge now is amazing. Yeah. So I don't really know. There's a couple little things that in Envoy that we use. Some of the deployment hooks aren't as easy in Forge to sort of turn off and on, but you get zero downtime deployment inside of Forge now, which is really incredible. There's a whole new structure around organizations and teams. It used to be called circles, right? It was sort of an add-on after the fact, and they completely reimagined what that might look like. So you have organizations, teams, users, permissions, much more granular permissions that you can use for that. Like you said, contextually relevant information, surfacing that at the time that you need that. One of the things I thought was really interesting is on the Sites tab, you can now see all of the scheduled tasks, any of the daemons, any of the background jobs for that specific one, whereas it used to be you had to go to the Server tab to see those, and you have to go to the Site tab to see different ones, and so it was just confusing. Talked with James yesterday. He said that's nothing we need to migrate. It'll just appear in that tab. So they're open for beta testers. They're interested in if you want to be one of those folks, reach out to James and the team, and they can put you in that group there. The other big one that we did not talk about is Laravel VPS.
Yes, in partnership with DigitalOcean. So now, similar to how you can one-click deploy to Laravel Cloud and get a server up and running in under 60 seconds, Laravel VPS in partnership with DigitalOcean means that you can deploy a Laravel managed VPS on DigitalOcean within seconds. It spins up, you can deploy your app.
And just to drive home the point, we're talking about actual seconds here.
Yeah, actual seconds.
10 seconds from the stage yesterday, pressed the button and had it deployed in 10 seconds.
Yeah, so you don't have to wait to spin up a new droplet or whatever, Linode or whatever you're using. You just click, it appears, it's ready to go, your app's ready to be deployed in seconds. So it's incredible that they've done that. It's very competitively priced, I believe.
$6. $6 to the lowest plan.
It's amazing that they've got that. And then there's also free
on Forge domains,
domains. So you can get your applications up and running in a similar way to Laravel Cloud provides vanity domains.
Yes.
Get ready to go straight away, so you don't have to share things point IP addresses and things like that.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't have Laravel cloud accounts, but you do have Forge accounts, honestly, what we've talked about in the past was they're just trying to make the top of that funnel really easy and approachable for people to get started with. And for me specifically, looking at this, it just feels more familiar. And it honestly, you can go from idea to being live on the web in under a minute. Under a minute. No DNS needed because you got the OnForge domain. Really, really powerful stuff. Okay, let's move on to cloud, and we will wrap this one up. Here we go. Plan updates. So they changed sandbox to starter, and this includes custom domains to start with. Again, so same idea, right? Really bringing everybody into the fold. There's no reason to not try this. There's also smart guardrails for pricing. This was, I think, a great move on their part and something that confused a lot of people who were just getting started with it.
Yeah, I think having that starter, the starter plan there, bringing in custom domains, lots of people with their side projects will, they're not going to pay the monthly subscription. Plus, it's $20 for the monthly subscription. Then you're paying at minimum with a database and a smallest compute instance another $12, $13. So the fact that you can do that now on the free plan with a custom domain that you've already got, and then be able to pay just for your usage, is going to get a lot more people in again at the top of that funnel that just want to get something started. Might work, might not work, but it's a much more affordable option on a totally managed solution now.
Absolutely. In their growth plan, they got added a lot of things. One of the things I took away was their compute pricing. They've simplified all of it, right? So it used to be like 0.88, you know what I mean?
0.0088
right.
And
it's
like, what is that?
Right. So they just made it easier. And then I also saw something they didn't call out, but in the top right corner, you kind of have like your budget for the month, like right next to your avatar.
This is what your like running total is for the month. It will tell you. So it's always clear how much you're up for that current billing period.
Yeah, so really great stuff on that. August 12th launch date for those. And then the other two other things that I really wanted to call out here, which I thought was maybe three. It's MySQL ready now, right? So this has been something that has been in beta testing, beta testing, if you will. But fully managed backups, restores, no bandwidth cost. It's on the metal right next to it, right? So there's no latency.
Network traversal, nothing.
Yep, backups and restores all set. Monitoring, scaling, compute, and storage, version security updates. It just handles all of that for you, which is amazing. And so I know for some people, only having Postgres as an option was sort of a bit intimidating. And so now having this available, and that's launching today. That's available right now. And so that's really good.
One thing that I've run up against is Postgres serverless is very interesting. But if you are using Postgres for your cache or your queue workers, it's never going to sleep. It's never hibernating. You're never getting those benefits. And so MySQL becomes the sort of de facto way, as it has been for a long time in PHP, to run your applications. It's running all the time, and it is a significant cost reduction over the Postgres serverless for that specific use case.
Yeah, absolutely. New application templates. So he showed on stage with Joe Dixon yesterday, showed on stage how you could go, again, going from zero to in production and not even having to set up a GitHub repo. Talk about that.
So this is using the Laravel starter kit. So we've got React, Vue, Livewire, and just a vanilla application. You can deploy it. It will go and configure your new instance, your compute, whatever you need set up. It will create the GitHub repo or GitLab, whatever you're using, and do the initial commit for you. So you can pull that code down and immediately have push-based deploys when you make changes. So I think I saw a few people on Twitter through last week saying, Laravel Cloud's asking for elevated privileges to GitHub and things like that. What's going on? Because it was not communicated. Now we know why it was not communicated. It's a hard thing to kind of sneak in. Like, they've got to be able to test it in production, but it's hard to say we're going to do this thing because something else is coming in the future. So very, very great, again, for that top of funnel, to get people in, to get them started as quickly as possible. So you don't have to go and create the repo yourself and then do the Laravel new locally and then push that up and then get it set up in cloud. It's all just one step now.
Seamless. The other thing that we benefit from, because the teams are all working together, right? You have Laravel Reverb, which has been something that's been out for a bit here, but it's essentially the WebSockets server, right? That you need. And now there is a managed reverb. So you can literally just spin that up, attach it to your instance, and then you can actually use that. And the next thing which we're going to talk about, which is preview environments. So preview environments is something that people have been asking for a long time. When I make a commit or when I make a pull request in GitHub, I want this to automatically spin up a preview branch for me. This is something we see in other providers, cloud providers. If we're generating static sites or something like that, it'll give you a preview URL. Laravel Cloud can now do that for you.
Yeah, and easily configured. So if you want to prefix all of your branches that need to have a preview environment set up, you can configure it to say any branch that gets pushed into my repository with feat/whatever. You can configure it such that it will automatically create those preview environments for you. It will add a comment into GitHub saying we're doing this, we're getting set up. You can click here to view in cloud. You can click here to view the deployment. And it's all seamless, as with everything that they're working on in cloud. Just set it up and forget about it.
They took care of the little bits that are things that you don't think about until you have to go set this up yourself, like custom env values, right? I want something different in my preview environment than I want in my production environment. Initial deploy commands only for these, right? Security password on it by default. So don't allow everybody to see it. Make sure that there's a password on it. What trigger you wanted to use to deploy it? Should it destroy automatically when the pull request is merged? So all those amazing things you get for free out of the box, and that also is available today. Whew, it's been a whirlwind, and it was a really good one. We got a whole nother day ahead of us, and so we will see you folks in the next one. Michael, thanks, dude. A pleasure as always. See you, folks.